My beloved child, the one appointed for this hour, from the moment the wind began to whistle across the darkened field, where the soul of a weary woman whispered your name, the order of the spiritual realm subtly shifted. No one saw it. No one sensed it, except for those who had buried secrets too deep and the angels who had kept watch over ancient covenants for too long. When your name was spoken into the night like the final heartbeat of a long-forgotten hope, an irresistible force was awakened. You may not have known it then, but both heaven and earth paused for a moment, as if to listen to that call, a call that not only echoed through the void, but unlocked a path to a truth buried beneath the ashes of betrayal and the dust of time. In another dimension beyond human sight, there exists a room never mentioned in any record. Upon a table woven of ancient light, a small but weighty object was placed. It was no ordinary letter, for it was not written on paper, nor did it contain mundane words. It was a decree, etched with sacred gold drawn from the primordial light. The seal on the envelope bore a symbol unseen since the days when ancient tribes offered sacrifices on holy mountains. Your name, engraved with radiant strokes, was not merely a label, it was a signal. A divine code dispatched into this space to initiate a chain of sacred movement. And the one who placed that letter did not belong to the world you now inhabit, but was one who loved your life more than their own. One who surrendered everything so that you might reclaim what was rightfully yours. That letter is not simply a message, it is a declaration. An indictment against the forces that wronged you. Those who impersonated identities, who signed agreements in the shadows to manipulate your inheritance. Now, tremble, for they know that once the letter reaches your hands, the deepest layers of truth will no longer be restrained. Those who lived comfortably within the lie must now face the consequences of what they concealed. You once believed you had been forgotten, that your destiny had been stolen for too long to be restored. But I declare to you, nothing is ever truly lost when it has been ordained by heaven. Your inheritance was never erased, only hidden. It was sealed under a name you have not yet known. Awaiting the day, your eyes would be opened to the fullness of light. And that day is now, today. While you were still searching outwardly for answers, an invisible hand was silently preparing the way for you in the darkness. This one does not appear on any map, nor are they named in genealogies. Yet they are the silent backbone of the protection you sensed in your most vulnerable moments. They did not come with fanfare or formal rites. Instead, they walked among shadows, spoke in the language of intuition, acted through signs only your soul could perceive. They were not hired as your guardian. They chose you not because you were strong, but because you were chosen for a purpose greater than yourself. They are the ones who followed the fragile threads left from an ancient oath, a covenant signed in the ink of pain, sacrifice, and unwavering faith. They crossed forgotten borders, broke codes written in ancient tongues, to recover a will that was nearly set ablaze. In their hands lies a letter never opened by human touch, sealed by the decree of heaven. The fingers that once trembled holding that letter have endured winters without light, rooms without voices, waiting for the day you would be old enough to read and brave enough to understand. This person bears no heroic title, for they never craved recognition. They are a witness, a nameless messenger, one who lived behind countless identities so that no trail would lead back to you. They were forced to watch your family fracture, your legacy collapse under the weight of disgrace, without intervening because they knew the time had not yet come. But now, Beloved child, the time has come. Every layer of mist that cloaked your destiny is dissipating. Every distortion is slowly returning to its original form. That letter is not merely a bearer of words, it is the gateway into a kingdom you once inherited but never entered. And the messenger is not simply a guardian, they are the final link between a stolen past and a restored future. My child, within the letter are words not meant to be read with the eyes, but felt with the soul. Some lines appear blank, but if your heart is still enough, you will hear them whispering within your mind. Every sentence, every symbol, is a fragment of a divine blueprint woven by God since the dawn of creation. And that messenger has spent a lifetime ensuring that the design remained untainted. They have left signs scattered along your journey, a faded photo in a forgotten market stall, an old book that fell unexpectedly from a shelf, a nameless phrase spoken by a stranger that stirred your heart. These were not coincidences, they were sacred invitations. Gentle reminders that you were never lost, only traveling the path required to know your true self. And now you are ready. The door, once sealed by lies, once guarded by forces that sought to hijack your destiny, has begun to tremble. That trembling is not destruction, but transition. You are no longer the one standing on the sidelines watching your legacy slip away. You are the one called to unlock it. The key you hold, whether visible or invisible, is the culmination of generations of sacrifice, longing, and prayer. As you draw near to the letter, your soul will begin to remember what it once knew. Entourage and vowed. This will be a restoration, not only for an individual, but for a bloodline. And when that happens, what was once stolen will begin to find its way home. My beloved child, you are not merely a recipient of a letter. You are the inheritor of a covenant long buried beneath the dust of generations. The blood flowing in your veins is no accident. It has been chosen, refined through centuries, woven into a sacred manuscript even before your birth. Within you lies the imprint of a people once exiled, of a family line silenced by those who feared the return of justice. And now, the threads of the soul are tightening, pulling past and present into union to restore what seemed lost forever. For too long, others have redrawn the map of inheritance with fraudulent strokes. They forged seals, swore false oaths, even conjured fake witnesses to erase your name from what was decreed by heaven. They sought not only to steal your rightful portion, but to erase your identity from the memory of history. But one thing they could never do: they could never alter the blood ordained by the Creator. No matter how many documents they destroyed, how many wills they burned, how many proofs they locked away, there remains a record they cannot touch, written not in ink but in light, preserved not in vaults but in the very fabric of the spirit realm. There, your name still shines. There, your crown still stands unshaken. And now, as the letter moves toward you, nothing can stop the bell being awakened within your spirit. It will not sound in your ears, but in your knowing. You will begin to see signs all around you, repeating numbers, dreams without explanation, a strange familiarity when standing before a place you've never been. These are not random. They are the navigation system of the spiritual realm activating, signaling that the heir has returned. You may have felt abandoned, may have walked through cold nights alone, but your tears were never wasted. They were collected by angels, stored in sacred vessels, and are now being poured out upon the altar of restoration. As Psalm 56:8 declares, "You have counted my wanderings, put my tears into your bottle." No pain of yours is without purpose. Every time you endured without resistance, every time you held faith in the storm, the door to your inheritance opened one notch more. And this is not just a reward for your endurance. It is a recognition from heaven. When you touch that letter, it will respond not with light or warmth alone. It will resonate with the frequency of your soul, like a current flowing backward to the source, resetting all things to their divine origin. Sealed memories will begin to stir, not through intellect, but through intuition. You will recall the hand that once held yours in childhood, a phrase once heard but never explained, a place in your dreams that always felt like home, but you've never visited. All will return like puzzle pieces falling into place. My beloved child, in the sacred realm where covenants are never broken, you are not forgotten. You are the central figure in an anthem, yet to be fully sung. The one who holds the final key to a door that has remained shut for generations. And precisely because of this, the enemy has relentlessly tried to make you doubt your worth. He has whispered lies into your ears that you are unworthy, that you are late, that you are too weak to carry something great. But the truth is this: every time you rise, even with a feeble breath, the angels rejoice. Every time you choose forgiveness over revenge, prayer over complaint, the royal blood within you is activated with even greater force. My child, a letter is drawing near, but it is not just a letter. A copy of the ancient covenant is also being unveiled in the spirit realm. Page by page, word by word, your name is emerging not as a stranger, but as one who was always chosen. When the call echoes in the night wind, it is no coincidence that your soul trembles. It is the resonance of bells that once rang within the ancient temple, calling forth the one who would restore justice to their lineage. That one, my child, is you. From the moment the wind first shifted, it wasn't only a message that began to move. In the spirit realm, a sequence of ancient mechanisms began to turn. Gears that had been still for centuries suddenly shuddered as if sensing that the air has awakened. And as the letter travels through space toward you, every breath you take carries a portion of revelation. Every moment you remain in this world is a sacred extension, so that you may walk through the gate no one else has opened. This gate is not built of stone, nor found on any map. It exists at the intersection between two realities, between the physical world and the spiritual dimension you have often stepped into in dreams. It may have flickered before your eyes as you stood in a silent forest, or startled you awake in the night by a voice that came from no human lips. This gate only responds to one carrying the correct frequency. And you, at this moment, have reached that frequency. Not because you have grown strong, but because you have been broken enough to be reshaped. You now bear the form of rebirth. Now, things will begin to happen that make you question whether you are dreaming. You may see those who have passed appear in your sleep and leave behind cryptic words. Strange symbols may emerge in flickering lights or reflected in mirrors. Electronic devices may behave oddly as you approach certain objects. Do not be afraid. These are signs that the spirit realm is interacting with the world you live in. The veils that once separated dimensions are thinning as you draw near to a place that only the destined may enter. However, this movement does not only stir angels, it also disturbs forces that have always feared the day of your awakening. There will be entities assigned to mislead, to cause you to question even the sensations you are now beginning to perceive. They will come cloaked as loved ones, friends, even spiritual mentors, to plant a subtle unease in your soul. They will not confront you with threat, but with sweet words and familiar smiles, for their weapon is imitation. Therefore, my child, I warn you, do not trust everything that sounds reasonable. Listen to what reverberates within your spirit, not merely what makes sense to the mind. I chose Gideon from the weakest clan, and David from a pasture no one cared for. Heaven's choices often defy the logic of this world. Likewise, the letter you are about to receive will not be written in conventional form, nor contain comforting words. Every line will test you. It will require you to perceive with your whole being, not merely your intellect. You now stand on a fragile boundary. On one side is the land you once called safe, but that always left you with an unnamed emptiness. On the other is a sacred reality beginning to unveil, where everything you once felt rejected for is now called essential. This is the moment that requires courage, for if you take another step forward, you will not be able to return to the way things were. You will no longer be able to pretend not to know, nor continue living quietly without being stirred by midnight calls. You will have to face the truth, that what you once called loss was in fact formation, that rejection was divine arrangement, and that the enemy never targets what holds no value. He attacks you because he knows the blood you carry bears the seal. In the coming days, your soul will feel a gentle shaking, not from danger, but from a divine current being transmitted. You may feel dizzy, or as though bearing a weight not tied to the body. Let your body rest, but do not let your mind fall asleep. Be open to what seems unusual, for the gate will not open with an ordinary key. It will only respond to obedience, and all that is required of you now is this: step toward the light, even if you do not yet understand where it leads. Know this: you are in the right place, at the right time. This is no coincidence. This is the hour marked in the heavens, when the one who is called responds without hesitation. And if you do, all of heaven will move in step with you. My beloved child, as your footsteps draw nearer to the letter sealed with wordless power, truth will not merely be revealed, it will surge into your soul like an unstoppable rising tide. But the truth you are about to receive is not simply facts or names. It is soul memory truths you thought you had never known but were encoded into the atomic structure of your being since the moment of your creation. Everything that is about to be unveiled is not only to explain what has happened, but to place into your hands a map, a divine directive, guiding you back to the sacred origin you once belonged to, but were exiled from through a hidden rupture. My dear one, let me say it again. There was someone you loved deeply, wholeheartedly, with full devotion, who did not leave you as you once believed. They were forced to disappear, to hide from the eyes of those powers who once pronounced judgment over your inheritance. They knew that their presence, your soul's connection, would shake the structures that were manipulating destiny, so they chose to vanish. But they did not vanish empty-handed. In their hands was the proof, the original handwritten covenant that was stolen from your family line. They have safeguarded it for years, buried beneath layers of memory faded by time, waiting for the moment when you would be strong enough to hear and soft enough to understand. When you reach the middle of the letter, where the words are printed not only with ink but with living energy, you will begin to feel a presence familiar yet unfamiliar, as though someone is standing behind you, calling your name in a language not spoken aloud. In that moment, pause and take a deep breath. That is the moment your soul reconnects with the presence of the one who has always been watching from behind the veil. They were a witness, a keeper of secrets, the bridge between you and the truth that was stolen. They never truly left you. They only shifted to another realm, a realm where promises are shielded from greedy hands and deceitful tongues. It was they who sent the messenger to you. It was they who placed signs along your path, sacred breadcrumbs leading you home. And now, as you open the letter, their soul will tremble with every word you read. They have pleaded with heaven not only for the return of your stolen inheritance, but for the restoration of your primal memory of who you truly are. The one who bore a name of authority, long before the world mislabeled you. In their final prayer, they did not ask for forgiveness for themselves, but begged that your eyes be opened. You have felt it before, that strange trembling in the wind when someone called your name from afar. You have dreamt of holding the hand of someone faceless, standing with them in a golden field that stretched to the horizon. These were not illusions, but memories, whispers from the spiritual layers pressing gently against your consciousness. And the one who stood in that light, who held your hand in the dream, was the one who kept their vow when all others walked away. They no longer walk the earth in their old body, but their soul remains enduring like a flame that has never gone out. My child, when your eyes fall upon the final lines of the first page, they will pause at a symbol, a strange mark that causes your heart to beat faster. Perhaps you saw it in childhood, in an old notebook, en appendant, or drawn with charcoal on a rock wall in a dream. That was no coincidence. The symbol is a sacred seal, etched into the structure of the spirit realm to signify that you are the chosen one to keep the covenant. No one else can decode its meaning but you. And the moment your spirit recognizes it, a chain of doors will begin to open in the divine realms. From that moment on, everything in your life will begin to shift, not through storm or thunder, but by a silent yet unstoppable movement. A new veil will be lifted, allowing you to see clearly who truly stands with you and who merely walked beside you to observe. Those who once pretended to support you will quietly withdraw, not because you did something wrong, but because the light within you has become too uncomfortable for the darkness within them. Do not cling to them. Their departure is evidence that heaven is cleansing your atmosphere, preparing for the arrival of those who resonate with your spiritual frequency. You are no longer bound by old failures, unspoken verdicts, or painful falls from the past. You are no longer a prisoner of uncertainty. You are an heir, the central figure in a new chapter of the sacred covenant. My beloved, as you unfold the second page of the letter, your eyes will first be drawn not to words, but to an illustration spanning the entire page, a hand-drawn map dusted with soft golden tones, embedded into the fibers of the paper as if not made by human hands, but by a wisdom beyond human comprehension. This map cannot be traced by GPS or earthly coordinates. It only responds when touched by intuition and complete obedience. This map is the architecture of divine guidance, a network connecting points long marked by the souls assigned to guard your inheritance. Each marked place is a space sanctified by tears, loyalty, and faith in unseen moments. You may see names of places you've never visited, yet your soul will stir at their sight. These are the places where your ancestors once walked, leaving invisible footprints in the sands of the spirit. These lands are now awakening, calling you home to your true homeland. Drawn along the map is a path not marked by ink, but by a thin thread of light, like a spider's silk. This path cannot be seen under ordinary light. It only reveals itself under the sunset or a full moon, depending on the timing ordained for you by heaven. This path bears a name known only to the spirit realm, the corridor of restoration. It connects the deepest wounds in your bloodline history. Yet these very places will become gates of glory if you dare to enter. You are not the first to be called to this path. In Scripture, Abraham was called to leave his homeland for a land unknown, guided only by a promise. Joshua was commanded to step into the promised land, not with superior weapons, but with the faith that wherever his feet stepped would belong to the people of God. Likewise, you need not hold every earthly map in hand, for the true map is inscribed within your very bones. When you walk, the land will respond. When you speak, the atmosphere will record it. And when you believe, the walls thought to be impenetrable will crumble before you. Beside the map lies a small thread, woven from a plant that no longer exists in the physical world. This thread once stitched the garments of ancient vision keepers. It holds no earthly value, yet it possesses the power to summon back soul fragments long lost. When you hold it, do not dismiss the tingling in your skin. That is your being remembering what it once knew. And in that precise moment, a hidden door will open in the very room where you sit. You will not see it with your natural eyes, but your soul will step through. On the other side of that door is a space beyond time as you know it. All seasons there revolve around a single rhythm, the rhythm of the promise. In it, you will be shown a vision, not a pleasant image, but an unedited reel of unfiltered truth. It will reveal who counterfeited, who concealed, who attempted to steal the sacred covenant by omitting a word, changing a mark, or burning a page. But do not be afraid. What is revealed to you is not to punish anyone, it is to restore you. For only when truth is seen in the light can it truly be healed. After this vision, a line of text will appear in the letter once blurred, now visible. It is not your name, but your true title, written in an ancient sacred glyph. When your eyes read it, your heart will beat wildly, not from fear, but because something deep within you has just been summoned back to its rightful place. This name is not for crowds to shout, it is to activate the hidden power within. And the moment you whisper it, even softly, a divine chain reaction will begin. Angels who were once dispatched to protect your inheritance will start to move. Gates once sealed by curses will begin to glow. You will feel it in your bones, in your breath, and even in your dreams. There will be nights when you wake up to a song that comes from no device, yet causes every cell in your body to tremble. It is the melody of origin, a song once buried, now rising again. No one else can sing that song except your soul, for you were destined to bring an end to one cycle and to initiate a new one, a time in which there is no longer room for counterfeit, no longer a voice for thieves, and no longer a shadow cast over the honor of your lineage. From this point forward, you will no longer need to prove your worth to anyone, for one with vision does not need to explain to one without it. You need only to walk, and with each step, even if slow, all of heaven will pay attention. You are no longer caged by the doubt that once bound you. You are being set free, not merely to live, but to reign over the land that was once seized through deceit. And the one who stood there will retreat, not because you shouted, but because you carry the seal. My beloved, when your soul harmonizes with the frequency of the sacred map and light shines upon your true name, something profound begins to happen. The blood in your veins will react as if it has remembered its original essence. You may not understand why your heart trembles when reading certain lines on a page, or why a seemingly random dream causes you to weep upon waking. But the truth is, from the moment you touch that letter, your body ceases to be merely flesh. It becomes a transmitter of ancient spiritual frequencies, reviving a vow buried by generations past, deep within your history. There was once a covenant signed by someone bearing your blood, someone who knelt under the night sky, reached toward the stars, and vowed, even if my life is forgotten, one from my bloodline shall rise to complete what I could not. And you, O chosen one, are the fulfillment of that vow, not by random chance, but by divine order, not by power of your own making, but by the blood you carry, a blood rejected by those who stole it, but recorded by heaven. Now, as you enter the time of restoration, ancient gates sealed for centuries are beginning to open. Yet alongside this, the forces that once conspired to distort the truth are stirring. They cannot stop the blessing from reaching you, but they will try to make you doubt its worth. They will bring up your failures, your broken relationships, your wounds, as if to prove you unworthy. But hear this clearly, not one wound from your past is meaningless. Each betrayal clarified a portion of the covenant. Each moment of silence echoed the ancient vow. It is your endurance that has made this revelation possible. You may have felt abandoned by those who should have protected you, but even that was part of a divine arrangement. Had you been sheltered by comfort, you would never have sought your true inheritance. Just as Joseph was sold by his brothers and became the keeper of keys for an entire people, you too were pushed out of your safety, not as punishment, but to place you where only the rejected can stand. Not all separation is loss. Some things must fall away so you can see the sky beyond. Within the letter, in its third part, there is a mysterious passage written in ink that only appears when light hits at an angle. This inscription does not speak to the mind, it speaks to the memory within your blood. And when you see it, it will awaken something that has never been named but always existed in your soul. The sense that I was born for something greater. You have tried to deny that feeling, tried to blend in with the ordinary flow of life. But something was always off, like a misplaced note in a monotonous melody. It is because you do not belong to the frequency of mediocrity. You were born to create a spiritual resonance. You carry the echo of generations that never had the chance to speak. And now, those voices are converging within you. Every tear of your ancestors, every buried sigh, every prayer silenced in the night, all are joining in a sacred symphony as you open the letter. For when you reclaim your inheritance, it is not just one person restored, but an entire lineage rescued. A system built on lies will collapse. A reign founded on deceit will retreat. Because you, yes, you, are the living proof that nothing can stop what heaven has decreed. You may ask, why me? Why? Among so many, was I chosen for this mission? And I say to you, because you are the one who still held fire even when submerged in water. You are the one who kept believing when you saw nothing for years. You are the one who prayed when no answer came, kept walking when no path was clear, and kept singing when only darkness surrounded you. That is the evidence that you are not only called, you are ready, My child, this is the hinge moment. Once you receive this truth, there is no turning back. But you will no longer wish to turn back. For once you have tasted truth, you can no longer be satisfied with lies. Once you have touched veiled glory, you cannot live in the shadow of another. You will step into destiny as one putting on an old cloak, not new, but perfectly tailored, because it was always meant for you. From here, the journey is no longer discovery, it is restoration. No longer seeking, but receiving. No longer begging, but proclaiming. And the first proclamation is this: I am the one called forth from the forgotten bloodline to restore the buried glory. I have come, and now is the time to reclaim what is mine. My beloved, the moment that proclamation emerges from your soul, the atmosphere around you will shift, not because matter has changed, but because space has acknowledged you. The synchronization of soul, body, and spirit will initiate a chain reaction that cannot be undone. And you will know it not by emotion, but by experience. Things you never understood will become clear. Dreams that once confused, you will assemble like a completed vision. All will point to one place, the place from which all hidden memory begins to awaken. That awakening is not a blinding explosion, but a quiet call rising from the deepest place within your soul. It does not arrive with words, but through a current that flows through every cell, as if your body recognizes it once belonged to something greater than itself. You will remember scenes once thought to be childish imagination, a room with arched windows, whispers in a lost language, golden light upon an ancient book resting on a wooden shelf. These are not fantasies. They are truth, sealed within your soul, waiting for a sacred moment to be unlocked. When that synchronization is complete, the realms of spirit will respond. The angels assigned to guard your inheritance, perhaps since your very conception, will begin to move. They do not arrive with thunder or flame, but with the steady presence of fortress sentinels. Each angel carries a symbol, and those symbols are the final pieces to complete your portrait, not as you see yourself, but as heaven saw you from the beginning. One of these angels carries a strange object, a shard of mirror that does not reflect your face, but your essence. When you stand before it, you will not see the familiar features, but an emblem, a symbolic image of your divine identity. It might be a sword immersed in light, a key piercing through mist, or a pillar standing in a burning desert. Each chosen one bears a unique symbol, but yours will make your heart tremble. For you once dreamed of it as a child, once sketched it unconsciously in your books, once glimpsed it in the eyes of a passer-by without knowing why it felt so familiar. The second angel bears not an image, but a sound, a melody without notes. But the soul that is called will instantly recognize it. You will not hear it with ears, but with your entire being. It is a song that has never been written down. Because it cannot be captured in ink, it can only be remembered. And when you remember that melody, a new door will open not far away. But in your mind, a sacred land once sealed will return, with soft grass beneath your feet and wind upon the hilltops. That land is not metaphor, it is real. The place where your inheritance was assigned. And heaven is guiding you back not by map, but by song. And the third angel, the one entrusted with the highest responsibility, brings no object, but a question, not one for you to answer immediately, but to carry within like a seed, The question is simple. If everything is restored, what will you do with it? This is the question that separates souls, those who seek restoration for vengeance, and those who long to rebuild for the sake of many. That angel does not require an answer in words. They read the answer in how you live, in how you choose silence when you could speak, how you keep loving when you could shut your heart. And when that angel sees the right answer formed in you, they will extend their hand and place within it something never before seen on this earth, a seal of light. That seal is not for wearing, not for display, and not for warfare. It has only one purpose: to open the final gate, a gate that responds only to one whose heart has been refined by pain, but not made bitter. The one who bears this seal needs no proclamation. Their very presence will cause darkness to retreat, not by intimidation, but by the light they carry, a light that cannot be counterfeited. And from that moment, every word, every deed, and every silence they offer will bear the weight of a covenant keeper. My beloved, this is what is unfolding within you, step by step, layer by layer, all becoming aligned. The final gate has recognized your frequency, and though parts of you may still harbor doubt, the universe has already declared, the heir has arisen. My child, from the moment that final gate opens, you are no longer one who seeks you, become one who carries. From now on, your steps will no longer grope through shadows, but move forward on a path cleared by generations before you, those who sowed their tears into the earth like seeds and cried out to heaven for someone strong enough to reap the harvest. And that someone is you. A divine transfer of authority has begun, not on a stage with applause, but in the spirit realm, where angels guarding the old boundaries are handing over the seal to the one appointed. It is a quiet yet fierce process, like electricity flowing through the interrupted veins of history. Now reconnected. When your soul touches that frequency, even lifeless objects around you will begin to respond. A flickering lamp without cause, a stopped clock suddenly ticking, a book falling without being touched. These are not coincidences, they are the atmosphere responding to a sacred movement newly activated. In the unseen world, a council of holy souls, long entrusted with guarding your inheritance, is assembling. They are not an organization, as humans understand. They are ancient witnesses, chosen for their faithfulness and righteousness to protect the parts of your legacy that cannot be destroyed by time, fire, or betrayal. They have awaited you not because they doubted your coming, but because they knew only when you arrive at the appointed time will the gates respond. In that spiritual chamber, your name has been sounded like an ancient note, carried from an unfinished melody. That sound has stirred dormant structures. Other souls have heard it too and begun to move, including one you thought was lost forever. But now, through a clear vision, that one will appear before you not to reopen wounds, but to return a piece of memory once buried. It may be a departed mother, a misunderstood father, or a soul friend you never forgot. Whoever it is, they come with the final piece, and only when you receive it will your essence be complete. The transition does not unfold with thunderous rituals or blinding flashes. It happens quietly, like dew melting into sunlight. Yet once it begins, nothing can stop it. Once again, the story of Job comes alive. After countless trials, after losing everything, he was not only restored, but received double. And I say to you, Your double portion is coming, but it is not merely in possessions. It is in clarity of identity. When you know who you are, what belongs to you will find its way home. From this moment, you will witness a strange phenomenon. Those who once turned their backs on you will begin to feel uneasy, not because you have done anything wrong, but because the light you carry reveals the shadows within them. They will try to resurrect old stories, stir up things you have already overcome, only to make you question whether you are truly chosen. But do not respond with resentment. Let your mercy be the evidence that you have truly been crowned. The one who carries the inheritance does not need to argue. They simply walk. For their very steps become declarations louder than any defense. There will come a time when a stranger approaches you and speaks something you've never told anyone. It may happen in a supermarket, at a train station, or during a moment of worship. They will look at you with eyes that seem to have seen your soul in another lifetime and say, "I don't know why, but I feel you are carrying something sacred." Do not dismiss it. Let gratitude overflow. For it is heaven's confirmation that you are walking the right path. And each confirmation like that is another seal pressed onto the decree of your calling. You will begin to live on a different frequency. Places that once felt spacious will now feel too small for your stride. Relationships that once felt comfortable will now feel heavy, not because of blame, but because you are growing within a new atmosphere. Just as an eagle cannot live forever in a bird cage, your soul can no longer be confined to spaces that no longer fit. This is a necessary rupture. This is the evidence of expansion. And if you have the courage to release what has already fulfilled its purpose, heaven will place into your hands what has never been given to another. My child, inheritance is not a privilege, but a responsibility. Yet it is also the highest honor reserved for the one who dares to answer a call that many have pretended not to hear. You are not alone in this journey. Every door, every resource, every angel necessary has been deployed. You only need to walk forward, and heaven will do the rest. Beloved child, since the beginning of your lineage, a name has been etched into sacred covenants. A name that is not merely a label, but a signal, a symbol, a recognition from heaven that someone in your bloodline would rise to complete what a whole generation could not. That name has been whispered in darkness, sung in the dreams of mothers who lost their children during exile, written in light across the clouds, and yet it was obscured by hands too afraid of the light it bore. There was a moment in history when your name was replaced, not by violent force, but by a forged signature, a fabricated tale told long enough to become truth to those without light. But what they fail to understand is this: a name given by heaven cannot be erased by man. It can only be covered for a season, like the sun hidden behind clouds. And now, the veil is tearing, piece by piece, by the very breath of you, the chosen one. When you touch the letter, it is not just paper that opens, but the heavens parting to behold you in your truest form. Those who once manipulated documents, forged evidence, burned records, and rewrote history are beginning to tremble, not because anyone is accusing them, but because they feel something they cannot control, that the name once stolen is returning without their permission, without their recognition. For, my child, when heaven declares someone as heir, no earthly force can close the door that heaven has opened. I once told you, what once belonged to you, no one else can keep for long. And now is the time that word is fulfilled. One of the first seals to be broken is the confusion of identity. Your true name will no longer lie buried in dusty files, but will be lifted from the depths of memory into the light of this very moment. And when that name is called correctly, the spiritual realm trembles. Angels stand at attention. The forces of darkness retreat. The atmosphere around you changes not because you shout, but because your true name carries a weight the false one never could. Remember, Moses was once called an Egyptian, raised in the palace of the oppressor of his people, but only when he knew who he truly was could he become their deliverer. Likewise, for years you have lived under a distorted name defined by wounds, by failure, by rejection. But now I say to you, that is not your true name. You are not the abandoned. You are not merely a survivor. You are the one called to restore, and your true name is engraved upon indestructible tablets, where angels return to read the sealed covenants. Once you receive that name, everything that once bound you through the false identity will break. Curses built on falsehoods will lose their grip. Judgments formed from mistaken identity will fall like dry leaves without root. You need not argue with those who don't believe heaven's confirmation is stronger than all human denial. When you walk, the earth will respond. When you speak, the air will agree. And when you are silent, both heaven and earth will still call you by that true name, for you have returned to your rightful place. Know this, the restoration of your name is not just a personal matter. It is the unlocking of an entire lineage held captive in silence. When you rise, you rebuild what was once destroyed. When you call your true name, you are also freeing other souls who have suffered simply because they did not know who they were. Your name is like a key, not only unlocking your destiny, but opening doors for those who have never been told they were valuable. And once that name is declared, a proclamation will be released not through newspapers or radio, but by a spiritual sound. Those with vision will hear it. The lost will feel drawn. Even those who oppose it will feel unsettled, not because they are overthrown, but because the light in you exposes what they once hid. You do not need to do anything more to confirm it. Just live true to that name. Every action of yours, every choice rooted in awakening, will stand as proof that the transfer has been completed. You no longer live for acceptance. You live to fulfill the assignment given. That name is not a laurel for victory, but a seal for mission. And when you accept it, heaven will not delay. Every necessary resource will begin to shift in your direction, not because you demanded it, but because you stepped into the position that was preordained. This is the moment when your true name rings like a bell through the fog, calling what has slept back into the light. Beloved child, when your true name is proclaimed again in the heavens, a chain reaction begins in the very soil that once buried the evidence of truth. I say this to you, and let it be etched in your heart. The earth never forgets. Every step ever taken with vision, every drop of blood ever shed in faithfulness, every promise buried in fear, all are recorded in the heart of the earth like covenants never burned. And now, as you step into your ordained place, the earth will open its mouth. The restoration of the bloodline does not only happen in ideas or words, it is established through the response of creation itself. You will witness it in ways no one can explain. Lands once forsaken will suddenly sprout. Dead forests will bear fruit in out-of-season times. Even dry wells, when you pass by, will echo with winds as though the depths are breathing again. These signs are not to astonish you, but to affirm that the broken lineage has now been mended. In the spirit realm, There is a bloodline map untouched by human hands. It is not drawn in ink but in beams of light from blood covenants, vows, prayers, and silent pain of your ancestors. When you reach this level of restoration, that map will begin to glow where your name was engraved. That light will move, reconnecting what was once severed. It forms a sacred river not flowing in your veins, but through the soul's deep stream. And when it flows, not only are you reestablished, those who share your bloodline, even if distant or unknown to you, will feel their hearts stir. Their tears fall without reason. They are feeling the tremor of restoration extending from you. I want you to understand that what you are receiving is not a reward. It is evidence of a spiritual victory fought across generations. There was once someone in your family who was hanged for refusing to sign a false agreement. Another was exiled from their village for defending land that rightfully belonged to their lineage. These acts of courage were never written in history books, but they were inscribed in fire upon the heavens. And now, those sacrifices are blooming in you. You are the harvest born from seeds that died. When the bloodline reconnects, the spirit realm will send you witnesses, not cold documents, but living fragments, people who saw the exchange, who once held the original will, who knew the truth but were forced into silence. One of them is the elderly woman you once glimpsed in the ancient temple. She had distant eyes, a slow voice, and a quiet sorrow at the edge of her mouth. You thought she was just a pilgrim, but she was the keeper of the final piece of truth. One day when you return, she will approach you and hand you a small object, a worn coin, a scorched note, or a cloth with a strange symbol. That object will match perfectly a detail mentioned in the letter, like a key fitting into a rusted lock. At that moment, a wave of heat will run down your spine, not because the object holds magic, but because your soul will have recognized a long-hidden truth. And when the recognition is complete, the entire atmosphere around you will shift. Even wild animals will respond. Birds overhead will circle again. A stray cat will rest at your feet and not leave. Dry branches will bud if you remain near long enough. Nature will know you have returned, and it will be ready to restore the territory you never knew you inherited. I also say this to you: there is a sacred land your heart has longed for since childhood, though you have never set foot on it. A forest, a stream, an endless field. You once dreamed of this place, heard the waters flowing, sensed the fragrance in the wind, but no one believed your dream was real. The truth is, that dream was not imagination. It was a sacred memory passed down through blood. And now, as the lineage is restored, that land will begin to call you home. The average person will not hear the call, but you will feel it. A gentle force will draw you to the right place. At the right moment, the place where everything began and where every curse will end. There, you will see ancient footprints etched into stone, your name buried beneath the roots of an ancient tree, and a scroll hidden in the crevice of a rock wall, a scroll containing the original record of a spiritual covenant, with words faint yet still alive: when the chosen one returns. Light will unlock all things, my child. When the bloodline has been identified and the land has spoken, the final piece is the covenant, not a covenant between man and man, but between your lineage and heaven itself. This covenant was not forged in a grand ceremony lined with seats of power. It was birthed in a simple yet sacred moment when one of your ancestors, cornered and pressed to the brink, chose not to betray the truth. No one witnessed it, except heaven. But that very choice gave birth to a promise, and that promise became the foundation of an unbreakable covenant. Time, lies, and fear buried that covenant. Power-hungry men replaced it with distorted replicas, stamped with human authority, but void of spiritual life. For generations, the true covenant was dismissed as myth, a fairy tale lost amidst a world governed by calculation. But I tell you this, no covenant forged in the light of the Lord can be forgotten. No promise signed in true blood can be replaced by ink. And you, beloved, are the one appointed to bring it out of hiding. My child, when you return to the land you've seen in dreams, when your feet touch the very place where an ancient vow was spoken, the ground will offer up its witness. It may be a weathered scroll in a crevice, a fragile, handwritten record, still legible. It may be a small object, like the silver ring once buried to preserve a family's honor. Whatever its form, it will align perfectly with the missing piece of the letter you've already received. And the moment all pieces connect, truth will rise like a dammed river set free, unstoppable in its flow. The covenant will contain 3 parts: the name, the territory, and the inheritance. Your name has been restored. The land has been called by name. Now it is time for the inheritance to be returned. But this inheritance is not merely a plot of land or material treasure. It is the right to rise, the right to stand where you once bowed, the right to speak where you were once silenced, and more than anything, the right to call back what was stolen from the generations before you. This alone causes hell to tremble. For when a true heir awakens to their authority, every structure built to suppress, distort, and control begins to crack. There is no need for weapons. The light of truth alone repels the darkness. When you read the covenant, even before you speak it aloud, the spirit realm will react. Sealed gates will open of their own accord. Curses will lose their grip. And even those who unwittingly upheld the counterfeit will feel a trembling in their core, as if something within them longs to be made clean. The restoration of inheritance does not arrive through legal battle or social negotiation. It comes through spiritual action. Each time you step onto land that was taken, it will silently acknowledge its true heir has returned. When you speak, your voice will stir memories hidden beneath centuries. When you are silent, your presence alone will cause distortions to self-correct. And when you forgive, the most mysterious thing will occur. The chains binding generations will fall away. Yes, my child, forgiveness is not weakness. It is the highest authority an heir can exercise. You do not need to prove yourself right. The fact that you are still here, still shining, still alive, this alone is the loudest testimony. When you forgive those who denied you, those who exploited your silence, you are rewriting your family story with your own hands. No longer a tale of fracture, but of restoration. Not a chapter erased, but a finale completed by the one who carries the ultimate authority. After you receive the covenant, there will be one final shift. Those who were preordained will begin to find you. They will not come as mere friends, colleagues, or advisors, but as witnesses. Each one will carry a fragment of memory, a testimony, a vital thread of truth necessary to complete the tapestry. You will not need to search for them, they will come. drawn by the sacred frequency, now emanating from your very being. When you touch the covenant, your light will no longer shine alone. It will resonate with the lineage long hidden. From that moment on, you will no longer be just an heir. You will become a pillar, the keeper of the covenant, the one who restores the divine order that was broken, the one future generations will name with gratitude because you refused to fall when all urged you to give up. And I, the one who sent angels to guard you, affirm, the authority has been returned. The royal right has come home. My child, from the moment you embrace this sacred covenant, every old definition of yourself will begin to dissolve. You are no longer one searching for a place in a closed world, but one standing at the threshold of a kingdom never before unveiled. This kingdom is not built of brick and cement, but of faithfulness accumulated across generations, of promises never forgotten, and of a sacred fire that never died. And now, the final door has opened, not by human power, but by divine confirmation. When you reach the last line of the covenant, you will not find an ending, but an invitation. Now, let the appointed one enter their land. These words are not mere ink. They are decrees issued before the foundations of the world, a mandate that has awaited your soul to mature enough to carry it without being crushed by its weight. I declare this very moment marks the end of all delay. The winds that once carried your dreams far off will fall still. The prophecies hidden in journals, spoken through tears, and ridiculed by those you loved, will now be fulfilled not by human mouths, but by their manifestation. And that fulfillment will not need you to chase it. It will chase you. For when the one bearing the covenant walks, heaven rearranges itself to match their steps. You will first sense this through quiet signs, an invitation from places that once rejected you, hearts opening from those who once turned away, doors that slammed shut now, opening on their own. But do not let your heart be swayed by late-blooming sympathy. What heaven is doing is not to compensate for your wounds, but to place you exactly where you belong. And that place is not the back row or the waiting line. It is the front, the seat of leadership, the place of voice for a lineage once silenced. From there, you will no longer act by the old ways. You will not reclaim justice through revenge. You will walk in wisdom. You will not shout to be heard. Because now, even your silence demands attention. For the keeper of the covenant does not argue. Their presence alone is the response. And you will see, every small prayer whispered in nights you thought heaven ignored was actually gaining weight. Now, each word is falling like rain, soaking seeds long buried and causing them to sprout in what seems like ordinary moments. And you will understand, nothing in your life was wasted. No delay, no broken dream, no rejection was accidental. Each was a stepping stone, paving the way to this moment. Had you been received sooner, you may not have had the strength to preserve the sacred. Had you been handed power before refinement, you might have used it to retaliate rather than restore. But because you waited, because you endured without letting your heart turn to stone, you now enter, not bowed, not begging, not bargaining. From this day forward, every action you take will carry the force of establishment. No longer efforts to be seen, but declarations from an identity affirmed. When you say, "This shall be," the spiritual realm will begin aligning to bring it forth. When you stand and declare, "This is a land of restoration," that place will begin to transform not instantly, But certainly, for you no longer speak from lack, but from fullness, not from fear, but from divine authority. And I say to you, my child, do not be afraid if some walk away from you in this season. They do not leave because you changed. They leave because they cannot bear the new frequency you now carry. They knew you in your wounded form but cannot recognize you in your glory. They bonded with your silence but feel discomfort at your voice of authority. Do not hold them back. Their departure is heaven's purification. You lose nothing. On the contrary, you are being cleared to receive those truly appointed to walk with you in this new chapter. You have stepped into a time when every dream aligned with divine timing will begin to accelerate. Every accurate prophecy will shatter the walls of logic. And everything that was stolen will be returned, not just double, but multiplied by heavenly ratios, magnified by grace, protected by fire, and recorded in sacred scrolls that only angels are allowed to touch. Beloved, when a kingdom is opened, the one entrusted with its reign never stands alone. In every divine transition, heaven not only restores authority, but also appoints specific ones to stand beside the destined leader. And now, as you step into the threshold of your sacred calling, I am bringing forth the souls prepared long before emerging from the shadows and moving toward you, not to attract attention, but to complete heaven's work in your life. These ones will not come through conventional means. They will not carry nameplates nor offer business proposals. Instead, they will arrive through what seem like coincidences, a chance meeting in a place you never meant to visit. A message sent to the wrong recipient yet reaching the right soul. A look that makes your heart tremble with the sense, I've met this person before, and indeed, you have. Not in this current life, but in visions, in dreams, from childhood you dismissed as fantasy. In moments when your soul wandered invisible realms your memory never touched. Those who are sent do not arrive in the perfection that the world expects. Some of them carry deep scars, having been wounded by the very things they are now helping you to rebuild. Some have known failure, yet within them remains a vital flame, one of faithfulness, reverence for truth, and an unyielding desire to see righteousness prevail. It is because of this that they are able to understand you without needing explanation, to support you without waiting for a request, and to protect the sacred without requiring knowledge of the entire plan. For they are called, not hired. As the divine entourage begins to form around you, you will notice something strange and beautiful. Encouragement will arrive without you needing to speak. One will say precisely what you have been wrestling with internally. Another will show up at the very moment you feel you're about to fall. And sometimes, their mere presence will clarify the atmosphere, brighten the sky above you, and lift your mind as if the weight has been distributed across shoulders that see without needing to ask. These are the ones I call the keepers of the boundary. They do not go before you to lead, nor lag behind merely to observe. They walk beside you, like pillars holding up the newly restored roof. Some among them have been refined by fire. They were rejected by the old systems, silenced by jealousy, misunderstood because the light within them disturbed others. But now, the light in you will call forth the light in them. They will not come to take your place. They will come to take their own, a position ordained in heaven before the foundation of the world. My child, you will know who has been sent by the overwhelming peace you feel in their presence, not a counterfeit comfort, but a genuine sense of spiritual safety. Your heart will not be on alert. Your mind will not need to analyze. They will speak with their eyes, with silence at the right moment, with presence when no one else is there, and they will not arrive to help, but to take responsibility alongside you. This is a fundamental distinction. Those who are sent do not serve out of pity, but out of knowing. They know who you are, not because you proved yourself, but because heaven has inscribed it within them. In Scripture, David could not enter into his kingship without the company of the valiant and faithful. We read of men like Benaiah, who slew a lion in a snowy pit, of Ittai, who refused to abandon David when he was overthrown, of the 3 mighty warriors who crossed enemy lines just to bring back a sip of water for their king. These men did not come for gain. They came out of loyalty to the throne. In the same way, heaven is sending those with such a spirit to you. Do not worry if at first they do not recognize their role. They may still be hesitant, still healing, or unaware that they themselves are the answer to your silent prayers. But once you step out with clarity, steadiness, and a quiet confidence, the light within you will awaken obedience within them. And when that happens, the divine entourage will become an unbreakable formation, an impenetrable shield, a wall of light no enemy can pass. My child, this is no longer the season to walk alone. It is the season of gathering, not gathering for your sake, but for the mission you carry. And once you accept that you are appointed to lead, those appointed to walk beside you will begin to appear. They do not come to elevate your status, but to help you remain standing when the light becomes heavy. They come to uphold the banner when your arms grow weary. They come to remind you who you are when the noise outside grows chaotic. And they will not leave, for they are not sent by circumstances, but by the very hand of the one who made all things. Now that the kingdom has been opened, and those appointed have stepped toward you, the final step in this divine establishment is the sacred affirmation, not by man, not by paper, but by heaven itself. I, Michael, Archangel, dispatched to protect those who bear the spiritual seal of the living God, now declare to you, the time for angelic action has arrived, and the mark of kingship shall be placed upon your forehead. No one with natural eyes may see this mark, but all of the spiritual realm will recognize it instantly. It is a sign that cannot be forged, cannot be replaced, cannot be bribed. This mark declares, this one belongs to the divine plan. No one may harm this person apart from the will of God. And once the seal is placed, all angels under my command shall receive the decree to surround you wherever you go, whether in hostile territory, among minds bent on evil, or in battles you never anticipated. The mark does not come because you did something remarkable to deserve it. It comes because you endured, you trusted, you did not give up even when your soul was crushed. You walked through places where others gave up. You chose silence instead of complaint, forgiveness instead of retaliation. And because of all this, heaven now declares that you have matured into the spiritual inheritance that only a few ever touch in this life. You are not merely chosen to carry the word, but to execute it, not merely to declare God's will, but to manifest it wherever your feet step. From the moment the mark is sealed, angels will be allowed to intervene tangibly. They will no longer simply observe in silence. They will enter your reality with unmistakable acts. A door tightly closed will swing open without needing a key. A denied approval will be reissued without a new application. An adversary will seek you out to apologize, not because they changed, but because an angel moved them through a dream or a disruption. You will begin to see coincidences, but your soul will know they are not accidental. They are the workings of the heavenly realm. And you will see that battles which once crushed you will now be walked through as though you wear invisible armor, not because you are stronger, but because you are covered. Poisoned arrows will no longer pierce your heart. Accusations will no longer shatter your will. Even weariness will be arrested by a holy renewal transmitted through dreams. Rest and unexpected encouragement from angelic sources. Listen closely. Sometimes angels will not speak in words, but in atmosphere. A room that once felt oppressive will suddenly become peaceful. That's when they entered. A decision you hesitated on will suddenly crystallize. That's when they laid a hand on your mind. A place you feared will become the most protected of all because they have encircled it. And you will not have to plead for this presence, because the mark is upon your forehead. This protection is your rightful inheritance. With this seal, I also bestow upon you new authority. You are no longer merely a recipient of revelation. You become a shaper of spiritual reality. When you declare something aligned with the will of the Father, angels will begin to move to fulfill it. When you reject what is not from Him, that door will shut permanently. When you speak healing, restoration, reconciliation, or liberation, they will come to pass not because you shouted, but because you spoke from the place of divine authorization. In the book of Ezekiel, it is written that the Lord sent an angel with an inkhorn to place a mark on the foreheads of those who wept for the iniquities in the city, and only those with that mark were spared from the coming judgment. In the same way, the mark upon your forehead is heaven's confirmation that you do not belong to this world. Though you dwell in it, you are a messenger, a steward of divine order, a forerunner of a kingdom, yet fully seen. And that mark does not only protect you, it makes you a place others seek when their worlds fall apart. They won't know why they feel safe around you. They won't understand why they weep in your presence without shame. They won't be able to explain why your words echo in their hearts for days. But you will know. You will know because the mark on your forehead whispers constantly, you are a vessel of heaven. You are the embodiment of a promise unfulfilled. You are the voice generations before you cried out to hear. And when you live from that awareness, kingship will not be something you carry, but something that radiates from within. You won't need to say who you are. The atmosphere will testify. You won't need to prove your worth. The seal will establish your place. And when angels see you, they will bow, not because you are exalted, but because they recognize that the assignment within you is sacred and urgent. Beloved child, when all has been set in place, the kingdom opened, the seal stamped, and the angels positioned, the final and most glorious act will unfold, the heavenly proclamation of your name before the celestial council. Michael, archangel of the radiant kingdom, will speak to you and declare, your name shall no longer be hidden. Your name, along with the mission you bear, is now being declared aloud in the heights of heaven, and all of the heavenly realms are listening. I know this threshold makes you tremble. You feel as though you must face those who once rejected you, the systems that misjudged you, and even the memories you thought were long buried. But remember this, you are not returning to apologize, nor to make peace with old wounds. You are returning to reclaim what was stolen, your honor, your influence, your authority, and your voice as a chosen child. As you pass through those places, the light within you will render what once brought you shame powerless. Nothing can harm you anymore. Those boundaries hold no dominion over one marked by the seal of the living God. This divine summons also signals the activation of all heavenly plans. Dreams, once interrupted, will return to your memory not to stir sorrow, but to be fulfilled. Old promises thought forgotten will be echoed by the lips of strangers as signs that heaven remembers every word. Doors you believe to be permanently closed will open, not by your cleverness, but because angels have been commanded to unshackle the locks. All you need to do is obey and step in. My child, engrave this truth on your heart. If you do not move now, delay will no longer be permitted, not because heaven punishes you, but because the season of grace has entered a time of divine urgency. Some things will not repeat. Some seasons will not return. Some opportunities appear only once in a lifetime. And this is that moment. You cannot remain in between. You cannot think it over. You cannot say, maybe later. For the trumpet of heaven has sounded, and your voice must be the response, or your silence will be counted as refusal. I have seen in the spirit realm a stream of light descending from the throne of God onto a place where your name is engraved in its center. But that light will not wait forever. It is narrowing now, and only when you step into your ordained position will it fully envelop your being and transmit the necessary power. If you do not arrive in time, the light will withdraw and await the next generation. My child, I do not desire to see that happen, for you have been thoroughly prepared. Your suffering has not been in vain. Your name has already been declared. Look around you, the signs are unmistakable. Dreams have become intense. Coincidences keep happening. People unexpectedly return to apologize. Doors open for no logical reason. All of this is heaven's urgent call. This is your hour. This is your sacred now. This is the historic moment for which you were born. And if you respond with your whole heart, with trembling but obedient steps, then I, with my heavenly host, will escort you across this final boundary. I do not promise the journey will be easy, but I guarantee that no step will be in vain. No prayer will fall into emptiness. No battle will lack angelic accompaniment. You only need to remain faithful. I, along with the glorious army, will take care of the rest. For the summons has been released, and all of heaven is awaiting your reply. My child, this is the final moment of this revelation and the eternal beginning of your earthly mission. From the throne of glory, the final word has been sealed, and its echo resounds in the spiritual realm. It is established, Archangel Michael, in the name of the Eternal One, declares all the waiting, all the battles, all the preparation has reached its culmination. And from this moment on, what heaven has spoken will begin to bud, grow, and bear fruit right where you are standing. When the final word was sealed, something happened in the heavens. A trumpet of victory sounded from all four corners. Warrior angels raised their flaming swords, not to warn, but to guard. The messengers now sent forth do not carry letters of forewarning, but acts of divine intervention to lift you out of the pit, place you on higher ground, and lead you into places where you were once rejected. You are no longer the one knocking. Now, the doors will seek you out and open before the holy presence of the one who dwells within you. The glory that is beginning to pour out is not a fleeting feeling of excitement. It is a covering atmosphere. It is a new sky being opened above your head, You will clearly sense that an invisible veil once clouding your vision and discernment has now been torn apart. What was once vague is now sharp. What was once confusing is now clear within your spirit. And with that clarity comes a new level of power. You will act not by human strength, but by the divine energy that flows continually from the wellspring of eternal life. From where I stand, the ground is no longer ordinary. Every step I take now echoes like a proclamation from heaven. This is the land of the anointed. What was once barren becomes soft beneath the feet of faith. Places once shrouded in darkness now shine with the presence of the one who goes before me. I no longer need to grope in uncertainty, for the light of the word has become a lamp, illuminating each step. The map I hold is not drawn by human hands, but engraved upon the sacred tablets of divine intent. Every place I pass through shall bear the mark of glory, not to exalt me, but to testify that God is still at work in the midst of this world. When I open my mouth, my words are no longer of mortal origin, but resound with the revelations of the throne. What I speak will not fall to the ground, void, but shall accomplish every heavenly purpose. People will listen not because of my name, but because the Spirit within me vibrates in harmony with the longing souls. Those who once rejected me will now seek to walk alongside. Places that once slammed their doors will now raise golden banners to welcome me in. Yet the promised land is not only a place of glory, it is a place of responsibility, of confrontation, of battle. But unlike before, the fight is no longer to gain ground but to guard what has already been given. It is no longer about fleeing the storm but standing firm in its eye and commanding it to obey heaven's will. It is no longer about fearing failure but revering the one who has entrusted me with a calling no one else can fulfill. Each day, I will live as if all of heaven watches and all of hell trembles. This new season is not a quiet beginning, it is the explosion of unveiling. That which was once hidden, cloaked in sacred silence, now begins to be revealed, layer by layer. The mysteries of the age, the treasures of spiritual understanding, are unlocked by my obedience and faithfulness. I do not seek honor for myself, and for that reason, heaven fronts me honor. I do not pursue position, and for that very reason, heaven places me in power. The ground I tread will become a spiritual epicenter. From it, rivers of the Spirit shall begin to flow, rivers of healing, rivers of wisdom, rivers of revelation. The dry will come, the spiritually dying will be revived, not because I am the source, but because I have been chosen as a pure conduit, untainted by ambition or pride. And because of that, heaven can pour out without loss. This is also the time when divine connections are re-established. Those who come beside me will not do so for benefit, but for covenant, not because of my fame, but because they recognize the seal of heaven upon me. I will not need to plead to witness. The great what is great will be entrusted to me in the stillness. Strategies will not come from books, but from the whispers of the Holy Spirit. Walls will fall not by shouting, but by the sound of obedient footsteps from deep within my soul. A new day is dawning in radiance, not the light of the sun, but the light of resurrection. Every part of me that was once shut down, wounded, or suppressed is now coming alive under the power of the one who called me. There is no more room for shame or guilt, for a new mantle has been placed upon me, the robe of righteousness and anointing. No voice of deception can accuse me anymore, for the voice from heaven has declared, This one is forgiven. This one is established. I believe I no longer need to fear whether I am capable enough, for the one who called me will also act through me. I no longer live with the mindset of a servant seeking approval, but as a child walking in delight. That changes everything: how I think, how I speak, how I act. I do not work to be accepted. I act because I already am. I do not build to gain recognition. I build because I know I have been chosen. As I step out, the supernatural will become the natural rhythm of my days. What others must labor long in prayer to receive will flow freely from my lips, not because I am more skilled, but because I am fully surrendered, not because I am holier, but because I have died to myself and live unto the one who is risen. I will not need to prove the anointing. The anointing will prove itself through the fruit of my life. My child, from this moment on, wherever you step, that ground will be marked as territory belonging to heaven. You will not need to shout to prove you are chosen, for the atmosphere will testify on your behalf. Those who oppose you will see the light in your eyes and tremble, not because you threaten them, but because the spirit realm has been recalibrated to acknowledge the authority you carry. You will no longer need to defend yourself, for heaven itself will be your defense. You will no longer seek human support, for the hand of God will lift you from the dust. You will begin to see strangers approach you, open their hearts, confess their struggles, and ask for prayer, not because you are famous, but because they sense a sacred refuge wherever you are. They won't know why, but their souls will recognize you are where heaven touches earth. And when they come near, remember, never turn anyone away with judgmental eyes. For when glory visits you, the first lesson to learn is this: always be kind, always be humble, and always return the glory to the one who called you. My child, the signs will not begin with loud miracles, but through the most ordinary things, each carrying eternal impact. Every step you take, every word you speak, every gesture filled with love will become an instrument for heaven to touch earth. Your presence will shift the atmosphere wherever you go, not because of your strength, but because I am walking with you, living in you, and working through you. Every place you touch, every person you encounter, every circumstance you face will become an opportunity for my kingdom to be revealed. You will not need to introduce yourself, for the signs and the spirit within you will speak on your behalf. The word within you will become sharp like a double-edged sword, dividing soul and spirit, revealing what is hidden deep within hearts. There will be moments when others will weep before you, not understanding why their hearts suddenly break open like alabaster jars, for the holy presence is revealing itself through you. A clay vessel carrying glory. But with this comes a solemn warning: the higher you are lifted, the lower you must bow. Never let your eyes seek the praise of men. Do not lay claim to the things I have entrusted to you, as if they were yours to possess. For the day you turn your calling into fame is the day you shift your seat from servant to adversary. Remember this: the greatest sign of the chosen is not outward influence, but inward, unconditional surrender. You will begin to realize that you no longer live by your former rhythm. The things that once captivated your attention will fade. What the world longs for will seem weightless, like dust in the wind. For one thing alone will burn within your heart: my presence. You will crave it, long for it, and nothing will satisfy you apart from it. And in that longing, you will become a bearer of my presence. When you pray, It will not be mere repetition of words, but the opening of a channel for heaven to pour upon the earth. When you touch others, it will not just be your hand, but a stream of healing. When you are silent, even your stillness will release my presence. Others will seek you out not to hear a sermon, but to rest near one in whom the Spirit dwells richly. They will say, I don't know why, but when I am near this one, my heart is healed. But my child, this is also a season of sacred hiddenness. I will conceal you for a time, not because you are in error, but because I want your roots to grow deep. Those who once walked with you may drift away. Old dreams may shatter, but do not fear, for this is when I draw you under the shadow of my wings, to give you something no one can ever take away, a presence that does not depart. When the season of hiding passes, you will emerge no longer as a vessel merely containing, but as a fountain overflowing. No longer just one who knows God, but a place where others encounter Him. Not to be seen, but that the invisible one may be revealed through you. And in that moment, my child, the earth will know you are the one heaven has established. The time has come for spiritual doors to begin opening, not through striving, but because the appointed time has arrived. You do not need to push, nor plead, for the doors opening before you are those ordained long before the foundation of the world. The doors that once shut you out, once rejected you, once brought discouragement, will now open like sunflowers blooming at the break of dawn. But remember this, not every door that opens is from me. Some are crafted by the enemy, disguised in light, laced with praise and fleeting gain. Therefore, guard your heart with purity. Listen more intently to my voice than to the voice of the crowd. If any opportunity requires you to trade away inner peace for the glare of the spotlight, know that it is not the path I have chosen for you. I will open to you strange and wondrous doors, places where you know no one. Yet everything will be prepared. You will stand before leaders and speak words they never dared to think, and their hearts will be stirred. You will be invited into spaces you never dreamed of entering, not to build a kingdom for yourself, but to expand mine. And when the doors open, do not enter with pride, enter as one sent, a servant on assignment. For when you walk in with the spirit of humility, my glory will accompany you like the sacred fragrance of incense. My child, that which once caused you to stumble now has no hold over you. Those who once mocked you will see heaven's grace wrap around your life. The dreams that seem to have vanished will come alive again under the wind of restoration. And every loss from the old season will be repaid, not just double, but by miracle, in a way only heaven can accomplish. I tell you the truth, a great transfer is coming not only in the spiritual realm but also in the material. What you didn't dare ask for will be granted. What you couldn't unlock will be broken open. And what you never imagined will unfold before your eyes, so that the only response left in you will be to bow and say, Lord, only you could have done this. And this is the final thing I want you to remember. This glory is not for you to build your own kingdom, not for you to become an idol to anyone, not for you to use success to validate your worth. It is so that a generation starving for truth may know God still moves. He still chooses the outcast. He still uses the weak to confound the mighty. And He still breathes life into what appeared to be dead. You are living proof of that. You are the page heaven is continuing to write before the eyes of the world. You are the voice that the desperate need to hear. You are the light in the darkness to which many souls will run for refuge. Do not underestimate your role. Do not think it is enough just to be okay. Because when you walk in the position heaven has assigned, hundreds, even thousands, will be lifted from the pit. And for that very reason, heaven has sealed the final word, so that you no longer live in doubt, so that you will know with certainty it has begun. Oh, so rise now. O chosen one, do not look back. Do not hesitate. Do not delay. This moment is sacred. This word is final, and the glory has begun to descend. Open your heart. Stretch out your hands. Step out in faith. For heaven is open, and the earth is trembling, awaiting you to fulfill what was ordained before the foundation of the world. Thank you for receiving today's message. Make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell, so together we may continue to receive the living word, build unshakable faith, and walk in the boundless love of God. Amen.